intelligence community says UFO reports involving the military are on the rise. The Pentagon has looked at 366 new reports, deeming half of them unremarkable, but investigators are still trying to determine the cause of the others. Our Brittany Shepard has that story.
U.S. intelligence agencies confirm hundreds of additional UAP sightings have been reported. UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, otherwise known as UFOs. The annual report on unidentified aerial phenomena now reveals 366 new close encounters since an agency was formed in 2021 to track them. That's more than double the number reported in the previous 17 years combined.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow. Look at the fly.
Officials say they can explain less than half those encounters, usually a mix of drones, balloons, or birds. The rest remain a mystery. Like this Navy pilot's video from 2004, showing a group of unknown aviators seemingly defying the laws of physics.
There's a whole fleet of them. Oh my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Or this inexplicable run-in off the coast of California in 2015.
Whoa, let's get close.
Pentagon officials say it's not time to call the men in black just yet.
Who are you? Really?
Really? I am just a figment of your imagination.
But they say it's crucial to track, investigate, and disclose reported incidents to help protect national security and safety for all Earthling flyers.
I think one of the key points in this report, given the potential hazard that UAPs do present, notably there's been no reported collisions.
Thanks to Brittany Shepard for that. And ABC News senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez joins me now for more on this. Hi, Louis. So when you say UFO, we often think of alien spacecraft. The flying objects in these reports are described as appearing, and I quote here, to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities. So what does that mean?
That means you can't explain what you're seeing, and that's what happens when military pilots or personnel aboard ships see something in the skies that they can't explain. You're used to normal travel patterns, normal flight patterns, but when something appears on your sensors, and let's remember now, most of these modern aircraft have significantly sophisticated equipment that picks up some of the stuff. What you're seeing on your screen right now was captured by some of those sensors aboard high-tech aircraft. And so when you can't explain it, then the Pentagon raises concerns because it could pose a safety risk, as you heard there from General Ryder, and it could pose potentially the threat that this is foreign surveillance of our military. So the Pentagon and the U.S. intelligence community really want to get to the bottom of what these are, and as we saw in Brittany's report there, a lot of it can be explained to terrestrial reasons, but of course the real interest is always about whether this is extraterrestrial and not from this Earth.
So here's what I'm hearing. It could be alien spacecraft. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, you know what's really important here is that the Pentagon has started their own office here of about, I think since last summer, that's been really digging deep into these reported sightings. A lot of them, by the way, in the last 18 months since that initial report back in June of 2021. And they think that a lot of them are because of the reducing the stigma and stepping forward with it. In the days past, it could have been that pilots were nervous about what their peers would think if they really stepped forward and said, hey, I saw something or my sensor picked something up. So now this Pentagon office is working with other agencies in the federal government, collecting data, and they're able to explain some of this stuff. But what's really important about when we talked to the head of that office back in December, he said he's not ruling anything out because even though there might be some terrestrial explanations for some of these things, they're taking a scientific approach to this and they don't want to rule anything out. So to your point, Diane, it's very possible.
All right, I'm on the lookout here, Louis. I'm on the lookout. We appreciate it, as always. Keep your eyes up, Louis.
A new report on UFOs includes nearly 400 additional sightings to its catalog over the last year.
The Director of National Intelligence says since its first report in 2021, the agency is now aware of 510 UFOs. Many of them were spotted in protective airspace or near sensitive government facilities. The new report says many of the new sightings have unremarkable characteristics. Officials say the increase is likely due to less stigma around reporting such sightings.
Joining us now to discuss is writer and UFO investigator Mick West. Good morning, Mick.
Good morning.
I guess it's not surprising that in a lot of these cases we're not really sure what they are, but does it trouble you that the government, the Pentagon, has things flying over restricted airspace, and they can't figure out what it is?
No, not really, because that's something that's actually expected with UFOs, is that it's actually impossible to get away from the idea of UFOs, because there's always going to be things that are just a bit too far away or just a little bit too far out of the range of the sensors. And if you look at the report, you see they actually managed to identify a very large number of these new UFOs. The previous report, they had 144 cases, and they only managed to identify one of them. And in this one, they've got 366 new cases, and they've managed to identify or characterize over half of them. So they're actually getting a lot better at identifying UFOs. But they also say that there are a lot of the UFOs, the UAPs, that they simply just don't have enough information on. They don't have enough data, and they're not sure if it's stuff like sensor error or operator error. So you're always going to have UFOs, and it is certainly something we should look into, but it's not necessarily something that's a growing threat.
So the bulk of these reports are from Navy and Air Force pilots, correct? Not from people standing in a field looking up?
That's right, and they're mostly from naval pilots in training ranges, which means they're out over the ocean, they're practicing their maneuvers. And whenever you're in a training range and you see something that you can't immediately identify, you basically have to abort the mission. And so all of these reports pretty much come from a pilot just flying along, and they see something or something pops up on their radar, and they can't immediately identify it. And so they have to return to base and file a report. And if you look at the breakdown of what they've actually identified most of them as, it's things like balloons. Balloons are a known problem in the area of these training ranges like Virginia Beach. They simply get blown away from the shoreline and end up floating over the ocean, and they can, because they are metallic, the Mylar balloons, they ping up on the radar.
Oh, I see.
And so it's not necessarily something terrible that they're seeing or something extraordinary.
I follow your Twitter feed, and sometimes there will be this unbelievable video, and you look at it and go, oh my goodness, that is a flying saucer. And it's interesting, you and I guess other people that you work with have the insight to know how and what software is used to fake this. Is that something that's going on a lot out there, where people are making these fake flying saucer videos?
It is occasionally. People do make fake flying saucer videos, but the vast majority of reports are actually just people seeing things in the sky and misidentifying them. It's quite easy to see a light in the sky and not understand exactly what is going on. And there will always be lights in the sky that do that, because there's always going to be things in what I call the low information zone, where things are simply too far away to gather enough information to determine them. And that's always going to be the case with these Navy reports too.
I feel like for so many years, the government never told us anything about any UFO reports. Why are they being so open about it now?
Well, they're not really. If you look at the report, it's 11 pages, but there's really only 1 page of information, and all they're basically saying is a list of numbers, and that they're looking into it. So I think it's kind of a disappointment, really. The government had the opportunity to clear up some of the more interesting UFO videos that they put out there, the gimbal and the go fast and the Nimitz encounter, but they really dropped the ball there, and they've just left everything open to speculation.
Well, you can check out Mick's